Hi everyone, so this video is going to be my autumn updates for my cacti and succulents, and I'm going to start with my Pseudo-Rhipsalis amazonica. As you can probably tell, it had a really good growth spurt this year. So what I did was, this is the first year I put it outside for the summer, and I was a bit worried that it would get burnt, but it was fine. I did have it behind some of the other plants, but I'm really happy with the progress on this. This is actually two plants, so this is one, and then this one, not as good, but still pretty decent. So yeah, this is doing very well. I'm wanting to get more seeds of this plant just because like having a backup, and yeah, I really want this to do well. I did bring it in a bit early because I'm worried about rot. I can see it's a little bit brown there. I think it'll be okay. And this one is Astrophytum asterius super kabuto with the yellow flower. This one is isolated in my kitchen, and that's because it still has an issue with mealybugs. It's pretty plump, so that tells me that the bugs haven't really gone into the plant, which is good, but it still has a problem. And what I've done the past few weeks is I've turned it over and sprayed the Safer's Indol directly in the bottom hole there because I want to get all the insecticide like within the root zone. I've also sprayed around here as well. For any bugs I see on the top, I take a toothbrush and just scrape them away. I don't want to unpot this again just because I don't want to disturb it, because I feel like every time I repot it or unpot it, then it's going to set this plant back, and I don't want to do that, but if I have to, I have to. But for now, this is my strategy. Right, so this one is Epiphyllum King Midas, and it pushed out these two new stems over the summer, which is alright, I guess. I kind of expect more growth out of it, but in this particular area, it's like full sun because the shade cloth doesn't go all the way across, so perhaps that's why it's not more growth, but I think it's okay. And this is my grandma's cactus, and this one is also exposed to full sun. You can see that one over there is quite yellow. It hasn't really pushed out any new growths, although just today I noticed that this stem has a new growth starting there and also at the top, which is good. My issue is that this one still has an issue with scale. I cleaned it up today, but it's an ongoing problem. The other stems are actually clean and fine, so that's good. Oh yeah, so they used to be one plant, but these are actually separate cuttings, so calling it one plant is not accurate. It's actually separate cuttings in one pot. Right, so this area during the summer has stayed behind a shade cloth, so they fared a little bit better. And this one is Front Runner, and it's done very well. It's pushed out this stem, I think, not this one, but that one on the back is new, and over there as well. And this one is Three Oranges. I believe this and this one is new, as well as this guy in the back here. I'm not sure if they're new this summer, but I think they're new this year. This one is my Christmas cactus. It's doing okay. This stem, or this one, is doing really well. This is actually one plant, but this part of the plant is doing very well. It's a little bit dusty because we've been having wildfires, or we've had wildfires in this province, so that needs to be cleaned. This one is Lily Dash, and it wasn't doing super good, but it's pushed out this stem and this one as well, so it's a marked improvement. And this one is my Rhipsalis, and it looks fine, but my issue is I think it's too leggy. When I Google this plant, it's a lot more smaller and bushier and kind of grows upwards, whereas this one kind of hangs down, so I'm not sure if that's correct, but it's overall fine. And this one in the middle is Mini Acker. It hasn't done well. Well, it hasn't done super well. I've lost this leaf and this one here, but it's pushed this stem from this cutting part, or this part. And this stem still looks okay. I see something growing at the bottom there, so I think it will be okay, and I think I might end up losing that stem. And this one is Epiphyllum Clown. And you can probably tell from this marking, it wasn't doing well. And to be honest, I wasn't sure if it would do well, but it's pushed out this. So I'm just gonna leave it as is and let it grow. So I think this will recover. And this is my monkey's tail. It grew a little bit at the bottom there, but this is the latest growth. So it's alright. Kind of like my other epiphyllums, I kind of expected to have more growth this summer, but that's all I got. And this one is my Mammillaria Bocosana rosiflora, or rosea, and it has grown very well over the summer. I didn't get any blooms out of it this year. I'm actually thinking that my desert cacti should not be behind the shade cloth. The problem is I'm concerned that some of them will burn, so I think at least this one, because it has the hair to protect it, and probably that one as well. This is Notocactus lenninghausii. I had issues with, I think, mealy on it. I don't remember. Pretty much ignored it all summer other than watering it once a week. It seems to be growing okay. I think at some point I didn't give it enough light or fertilizer when it's growing, but it seems to have plumped up a bit at the top there. And this is my Mammillaria pectinifera. I grew this one from seed. It's done pretty well. I think I should repot it, but I think I'm gonna lose, or at least all the pups are gonna fall off. At least one or two have already fallen off while I was just handling the plant. Yeah, it's doing pretty okay. And my only complaint about this plant is I think it's a bit leggy. When I was first growing it, or when it was first growing from seed, it kind of grew a bit leggy, so it's a bit, I don't think it's supposed to be tall like this, but I think I kind of just have to deal with it now. And this is Conophytum frutescens, and this is the only living part of this plant now. All this part is, I mean, it still hasn't shriveled completely, but I would say like that part is not alive, so I'm wondering if I should repot it into a smaller pot. Overall, it's doing fine. No blooms yet this year. And this one is Astrophytum niveum variation and I feel like not much has happened with this plant. There's not a whole lot of growth, and it hasn't really plumped up. I had a good look at it, and there's no signs of mealybug that I can see. I mean, maybe in the root zone, but there's just one area where I can peek and it has like live root tips, so I'm not sure what's going on. Yes, I don't know if you can see in there, but those are root tips and they look pretty healthy. And last but not least is my Lapidaria margarete, and it had done very well for me. It had another set of leaves at the bottom here, and it was super plump, so I had like 3 layers, but it has since consumed those leaves, and it's kind of like fallen over a little bit. I don't think it's rotting because the top part is still fairly plump, so I mean, I think it's fine. It just looks not very good. I'm not sure what to make of this. I do think it's okay though. I might just add some extra rock just so it stands up a bit more nicely. Alrighty, so these are my cacti and succulents. I haven't mentioned it yet, but I think next year I'm going to try growing that one indoors instead of putting it outside. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!